Thanks for coming today. I'm going to call the meeting March 23rd at 8 a.m., a special board meeting today to discuss the superintendent search candidate review. And I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. There's been a motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye, please. Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. All right, as you know, we have had the opportunity to have constituency groups involved in our candidate search, and thank you to everyone that helped to spearhead those groups and to the individuals that took time throughout the week to devote to this very important search that we have going on. And so right now, what I would like to do is I would like each of the individuals involved in spearheading those groups to give us a little bit of report so that those of us that are watching or will be listening to this this meeting will be able to learn. We've all received printouts sent to us for this meeting, and we've had a chance to review those, but so that we are transparent in our discussion, I'd like to open up the opportunity for that conversation and that feedback. And I would like to start with the administrative group, please.
Yes, thank you. Just for one moment, I'll tell you what's in your packet as well. Your blue sheets, they start with the final list of those on the interview groups. From the original list that I sent out to you last week, we just had a couple people that had some life things come up that didn't allow them to participate. Just one from the teacher group and one from the support staff group. So just wanted to be sure to get you the final list of those who participated. And then again, there's printouts there of the interview questions that each group used, along with the impression forms from each group on each candidate. And so I had the opportunity to work with the administrative group that interviewed each candidate in the morning. So the members of that group are listed on your sheet there of who had the opportunity to interview them. They all enjoyed that process thoroughly. They thank you for that opportunity to chat with them. And we had an hour with each candidate. They could have had more time, of course. They enjoyed that discussion. We went a little bit longer in each time. They took just about 5-10 minutes of their lunch break as well, just to get through all the questions and then have the opportunity for them to ask a couple questions at the end as well. So the team worked together to complete the candidate impression form for you, and so we forward that information to you from the administrative group. They went through and noted the strengths that they wanted you to know that they saw for each candidate, and then of course the other section of areas of growth or maybe some questions that they had about each candidate. Each candidate answered questions differently, of course, and so for a couple of them they had just a couple wonders just because of what their interview provided them of, okay, this is a lingering question for us because of how our interview went. So that is what they forwarded to you, and like I said, they thanked you for the opportunity to take part and have a good conversation with each candidate.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have questions for Anne Marie? I also wanted to mention that we have a lot of papers at our tables at our workspace, and some of the papers are minutes from previous meetings when we have had candidate searches, superintendent search, and so if you want to take time to read through the portions of those minutes that pertain to some of the business that we're doing here today, they're for your reference. And we also have the yellow sheets will be for discussion if we get to the point where we're talking about compensation and an agreement, so that's there for your reference. I would like to move to the candidate group, please. Excuse me, the cabinet group. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We were very fortunate to be able to spend a pretty extensive amount of time with each of our candidates this week, not only in our specific interview group, but throughout the day as we worked with the specific interview groups. Some helped with transportation. We were very thankful to be able to spend some time in the social in the evenings, and it was a wonderful opportunity. We are so happy to be able to be a part of that. Of course, we have a vested interest in this, and we're just very happy to be able to spend that time with each candidate. You, of course, have our impression sheets as well. We did highlight the strengths of each candidate. We thought each one brought some different perspectives, many strengths for each candidate, so we certainly know you have a very difficult decision in front of you. We also highlighted some of those areas that maybe we didn't get all of those questions answered. And again, it could be based on just our questions and not having the opportunity to get that information. So you have that with you. If you do have any specific questions, we'd certainly be happy to answer those. But again, we just thank you for that opportunity.
Right, thank you, Brittany. Does anyone have questions for Brittany? Thank you for your time. And on to the support staff group. Excuse me? We can go to the community group. I was going by my blue sheet and reading a different order. Sorry about that. Thank you, community.
Great. Well, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the community group that came together and gave of their time to be part of this process. Members from the Chamber, the Youth Commission, the City of Fargo, the Economic Development Council, United Way, the Park District, the Fargo Police Department, and the PTA. They all did a fantastic job, not only of giving of their time, but asking some wonderful questions of our candidate. One thing that came out through this process is they were very honored and thankful that they were asked to be part of the process. They felt that as we continue to work as a community together, the partnerships that we forge and continue to create will only be strengthened through this process. So they wanted to pass on a thank you to you as a board for that process. Our questions were a little bit different than maybe some of the others, just because of the members on that committee. They really focused in on how do we continue with the partnerships that are already in existence? How do we assess their value? And then how do we gather feedback from the community? So wonderful opportunity to learn a little bit more from our candidates. Through the process, they, like our other groups are saying, 3 strong candidates with different strengths. And we too have provided you our feedback, kind of a culmination of their thoughts. And then there were a few questions just like every other group. Some were based upon the questions that we asked, and those candidates didn't have the opportunity to share. So I'm sure through the other interview committees, some of those questions will be answered. But again, a wonderful opportunity, and the committee thanks you for allowing them to be part of that.
Thank you, Dr. Gross. Okay, and on the agenda, support staff.
Back to me. Well, again, I'll echo that. The support staff were extremely excited to be a part of the process. I think all of our members were very engaged. Each time we met, they were thankful. They were very excited. They were just on task. They were always very happy to meet the candidates, and really took a vested interest in finding out what each candidate would bring to the Fargo Public Schools and to the community. So they really were trying to link the individual to our district and to our community, and finding out what each one would do and once they were here, and really trying to find out what that follow-through would be. And they were really doing some connecting and doing some research on their own as well. So it was a really cool opportunity to get to see how much time they put into it, even outside of our individual interviews. They completed the impression form together at the end, so we forwarded those to you as well, so you have their summaries of strengths of each candidate. They wanted me to pass along their thanks, and also pass along the fact that they were happy they didn't have to make this decision. So they were glad it was in your hands, but really had all those strengths listed for each candidate, and felt that no matter what choice that you all made, it would be a good choice for our district.
All right, thank you, Brittany. And the teacher group.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to wrap up the formal interviews with our teacher group. They too were very appreciative of having a voice in the process. Anne-Marie did a really nice job with so many teachers and so many unique curriculum areas. We had 9 teachers that were everything from language arts to band, student performance strategists, CTE, media specialists. We had our association president who had a dual role because she also teaches. And of course, we went over every day as well because they wanted to have more time to talk about their area and what our candidates had to offer, or their thoughts about their specialty area. They passed on their thanks as well, and also would reiterate that they did not want to make this decision because we had 3 strong candidates. If they would have had more time, they would have wanted to had that opportunity to ask more questions. We really focused a lot on teacher recruitment and retention, how to build relationships with teachers and to maintain them and to team with teachers, and a lot of conversation really about state safety, that's something that's prevalent in the nation as well as in Fargo, and future with social emotional learning. So thank you for the opportunity, and personally, having the opportunity as a cabinet member to see each candidate throughout the day was very beneficial. So thank you.
Thank you all very much. I am going to pass out a letter that was sent or just delivered this morning to Fargo School Board members. All of the candidates had the opportunity to meet with our student newspaper groups, and there is an individual, he's here today, Isaac is at Spanger. He's a senior at North High. He was a student that was at all the interviews. And I wanted to pass out the letter that he is sharing with us, just for you to read and have for your reference. And I want to thank him for his participation and being here today, arranging to, I don't know if you had to take a break from class or what, if it was a free period, but thank you for your time today and for learning about the candidates and being involved in our decision. Does everyone have a copy of board members? I have additional copies if you would like. Mm-hmm. Oh, you didn't receive? Oh. I thought I had. Okay. Does anyone else need one? Okay. Linda. All right. We are going to now move on to number 5 on the agenda. It says complete forced matrix, and at this point I want to turn the meeting over to Gary Ray from Ray and Associates. Ray and Associates, as you know, is the firm we've been working with for our superintendent search. And thank you, Gary, for being here in person today, and to your staff for assisting us in the process. And I know that I've worked a lot with you, Anne Marie has worked a lot with you, and Molly also at your office to get us going. So it's been nice to have you involved at the beginning and then now to help us finish out the process. So I would like to turn it over to you, and you can explain where we're going to go from here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. As some of you know, I think maybe all of you know, our firm has been involved in other superintendents searches here in Fargo, so we have a special place in our heart for Fargo, and so we appreciate the opportunity to help you. Hopefully I won't be back here for some time, but we do appreciate it, having the opportunity to work with you, and your staff's been wonderful to work with. And my staff wanted me to pass that along to Anna Marie, and as well as everybody else, that we've enjoyed working with you. And having done searches for 43 years, I can't say that all about every place I worked, but here in Fargo, it's been a pleasure. Today, what we're going to do is do the force matrix, and we'll do a little scoring later. The purpose of the force matrix, is to bring us somewhat to consensus as far as how we feel about the candidates, and do a kind of a one-on-one impression, and we certainly can have some discussion, after that. I think that on behalf of all the candidates, I've spoken to all of them. They're still interested in the position. And as you know, when candidates come, they're interviewing you and you're interviewing them. And so it has to be a good match for them as well as for you. And so I'll pass this out, and I think I can walk through it, but I think you did it last time, and so I think you know how to do it, but I'll just give a brief instruction, to you. So I'll pass this to the board members, if you could do that. And this way there too. Yeah. No, you can't fill out two. You can only fill out one. All right. Does everybody have one? I think Jennifer's coming. Sure. All right. There's probably a few extras there, so. Thank you. As you can see, they are in the order that they interviewed. And so you have up the top, you've got Mohip versus Arnold, then Mohip versus Gandhi, and then you have 2-3 there. So you circle the choice that you have. So you got 3 circles, and when you're done, pass them over to me. And then my auditor will help me. The candidates did enjoy the process. They all said it was a very long, exhausting process, but they did enjoy it. And they, each and every one said, tell the board, thank you. It was a long day, like I said, for the candidates, and she's gonna make some copies. But just to show you how tough the candidates, one of your candidates had walking pneumonia. But finished the day, and when he got home, he went to the doctor, had walking pneumonia, but he really appreciated still going through the process. So, that's how tough superintendents have to be, right? You can see on your sheet, does everybody have a copy? Okay. All right, you can see on your sheet that as board members, Gandhi, he had, obviously, 2 was the highest you could get, and all but one board member scored points all the way across the board, either a 2, either being first or second. And you can see how the totals, Arnold picked up a couple first places, 3 of them actually there, and then got some zeros and 1, but kind of a consensus from the overall from the board. Gandhi got something from most folks. And that's what the totals show. And so from there, the board can have some discussion here, or you can certainly, make a move and make a recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Gary. I'd like to open it up to board members for any discussion.
Well, I'm just going to bring forth the letter, which is definitely done by one of our very educated students at North High, and so it's clearly an answer of who he wants. I'm not saying that this is a spokesperson for all of the students, but clearly the letter that you show shows the strengths that Gandhi definitely has. So I think that we should definitely consider that from what we see in front of us. I mean, and if you look at the stuff that we received last night and that are in front of us, it's pretty clear that he's pretty knowledgeable and really wants to be here in Fargo. That's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you, Brandy. John?
President Knudsen, I move that we select Rupak Gandhi as the next superintendent of Fargo Public Schools.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second that we, would this be to extend an offer to,
Yes.
okay, to extend an offer to Mr. Rupak Gandhi for our next superintendent for Fargo Public Schools. And there's been a second. Is there any conversation, any discussion on this matter? John?
We had not just these 3, but every candidate we saw, I think, was really, for the most part, excellent. These 3 in particular were exceptional. It's a difficult decision. I think Mr. Gandhi's preparation, his experiences, his enthusiasm for Fargo were all criteria that kind of pushed me over the line, I guess. I think reading through our packets, I got a general consensus from what I was reading there, that each of these groups as well had a tough decision in front of them, and as we heard this morning, none of them really wanted to make this decision themselves, but I think reading through these, reading between the lines, I was getting that as well from them, that Gandhi's bringing some things to our district that we need and that we want. And I think he will be an excellent candidate for us. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else have anything to share? Feel free, David.
I just had a couple of questions about Mr. Gandhi. He was certainly knowledgeable of Fargo. I think he probably could have pointed out a few things to me. In looking through all of the impressions by the other groups, a couple of things jumped to mind. The teachers, for instance, said that he has virtually no classroom experience. I think he moved very, very quickly from the classroom into administration. There were some comments here that in some instances, his questions were too general, and he took an idealistic approach to some situations. I liked him very, very much. I don't know. There were a couple of things that concerned me.
Okay, if anyone would like to address David's concerns or comments, that would be fine, or share anything additional. Linda?
I was really torn. This was not easy, and I imagine we all felt that way to some degree. And I was a little surprised when I saw the outcome, and what that says to me is that I think we responded to enthusiasm and passion over longevity and experience. I think we have incredible resources in the district that bring that experience and wisdom and knowledge. So to balance that out with someone with such drive and passion, but drive that is tempered with humility and kindness rather than hard-edged drive, seems to me what we came to consensus around.
John?
I definitely acknowledge his lack of experience in the classroom and his maybe inexperience in his superintendent role. I agree with you, Linda, that I think we have experienced resources here in our district that can maybe temper some of that. I am also concerned that he lacks some experience negotiating with teachers associations, which is definitely one of the considerations that I was thinking about when I made my selection. But I'm hoping on the balance, the strengths he's bringing overcome that.
Christy?
Linda, last night you asked him a question about what makes him, the drive that he has. And I think in his response, but also when he talked about the we, that he surrounds himself with people. And I think that's one of the things that resonated with me, that he doesn't have the I. And I believe that any good leader surrounds themselves with people that can do the things that they can't do. And I look at the cabinet that we have and the people, the staff that we have in this organization, and we have phenomenal leaders. And so I didn't hesitate having somebody who is short on a little bit of those experiences, because I look around this room and look at the people that we have, and we have those leaders. And so that's why I was in favor of this.
Anyone else have anything to share? Well, I'd like to say they were all stellar. And sometimes I say if we can put everyone in a pot like we're making stew and then ladle out, we get the best if we could put all the ingredients together and then come up with one person, but we don't have that opportunity in front of us. In the end, we do have the opportunity to choose one individual to lead the district. So, but we were very fortunate to have 3 excellent candidates to get to know and to have the opportunity to set the pace for the upcoming years in the district is wonderful. Okay. If there's no other discussion, I would like Anne Marie, please, if you would read the motion that's been made.
The motion on the floor is to select Rupak Gandhi as the next superintendent of the Fargo Public Schools.
All right, and Anne Marie, would you please call the roll?
Paulson,
No.
Rodenbiker,
Yes.
Ulrich,
Yes.
Ani,
Yes.
Benson,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Goldenberg,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes. All right, motion passes. So we have selected the individual that we would like to extend an offer to for a contract. We will have to have conversation with him to see if he is interested in visiting us, with us further as to what the specifics of that contract would be. And Mr. Ray is the individual we will be having visit with Mr. Gandhi in regard to that. So Gary, would you be interested in making a phone call to him at this time? And we could take a brief break while he does that. David, question?
No, I don't know if there's any way to change or whatever, but I think it's very important that the school board be unanimously behind our choice. So, what, if anything, could be done so that I could cast a yes vote?
Anne Marie, advice?
I do believe you could move to make a unanimous vote to select him as your next superintendent.
If there is a motion on the floor for that, I would entertain it. David?
I would move to make it a unanimous vote to select Rupak Gandhi as our next superintendent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Anne Marie, or you will have to call the roll again, unless there's any other conversation. Okay, thank you.
Rodenbiker,
Yes.
Ulrich,
Yes.
Ani,
Yes.
Benson,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Goldenberg,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes. Yes, Jim.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't perhaps go into executive session before we have Mr. Ray actually reach out to Mr. Gandhi, so we can determine what exactly we might be sharing with Mr. Gandhi in terms of the offer.
I would be fine with that. And Gary, does that sound fine with you?
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, and that would have been our next step for sure. So, well, if someone wanted to make that motion. And if there is a motion on the floor for us to enter executive session, I would entertain that, please.
I'd like to move that we go into executive session for the purpose of contract discussions and strategy as permitted under North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19.1.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? All right, Anne Marie, please call the roll.
Ulrich,
Yes.
Ani,
Yes.
Benson,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Goldenberg,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Rodenbiker,
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes. All right, we will clear the room. The board members will be in the room, Anne Marie, Mr. Gary Ray, and I would please like everyone else to exit the room at this point. All right, I will reconvene this session of the special board meeting, and it is 10:40 a.m. And I want to announce that Rupak Gandhi has accepted our offer to serve as the next superintendent for Fargo Public Schools. And that offer is contingent on a final negotiations of the contract that we have. We will be working with our attorney to make sure that that is ready to go to him, and we are excited for the next step. Thank you very much. And we are adjourned.